Here are 6 things you can use wax paper for when working on your cosplays.
I never use this in my kitchen, so let's actually put it to good use. All right, the first use for wax paper is to use it as a dupe for tracing paper. So it's very transparent, it's easy to see designs through it. In this case, I'm just copying some text and drawing some circles, and the Sharpie doesn't bleed when you use it on this paper, so very practical. Another use for wax paper that I like is to use it as a makeshift painter's palette. Whenever I want to mix something together and I just want something quick to deal with and easily disposable, I can just use wax paper as a surface to mix paints together. I also use it as a makeshift palette for glues or anything like that. No fuss, easy cleanup. We've already established that it makes a really good surface that doesn't bleed through. So what I also like to use it for is a protective layer whenever I'm painting fabric. Unless you're dealing with something especially thick, it's going to bleed through, and this makes for easy cleanup. And you don't have to worry about it ruining your surface or the other fabric that you're working with. In a very similar vein, you can use it as a work surface for working with clays. I'm using some very expired model magic that is not quite doing what it's supposed to, but you get the gist of it. It doesn't stick to the wax paper, and bonus points, since you can draw designs on it, you can easily use it as a baseline for sculpting very specific shapes. Not that this clay would keep that shape, but you get it. I've shared this tip before, but I absolutely love wax paper as a protective layer when applying rhinestones. And that's especially important if we're dealing with a sheer fabric like this. When you're going to be applying glue, it is definitely going to bleed through and stick to the surfaces below the fabric or to the rest of your costumes. And the final use of wax paper, and an absolute lifesaver, is I use it as a layer between any sticky fabric that I'm trying to push through my machine. So something you have to keep in mind is when you're dealing with something like this stretch vinyl, the foot of your sewing machine is going to push against it, and it's not going to want to willingly go through your machine. Typically, you're going to need something like a Teflon foot to get it through without having any wrinkles and such happening to your fabric. So I like to cut a 1 to 2 inch strip of the wax paper, clip it with the rest of the fabric, and then push it through the machine as regular. And what's great is that since the paper is see-through, you can see where you're going and see where you're stitching. And then all you need to do is when it's done, you can just fold the paper over and you can just tear it away like perforated paper. And it leaves no residue. Super easy, such a time saver, and saves you so much hassle when sewing.
I hope you learned a little something about how to use wax paper for your cosplay projects, and let me know if you have any other tricks on how to use this versatile material.